Next up in the main event, highly anticipated, we got two characters in the sport: Khamzat Chimaev versus Nate Diaz. Who you got in this one?
Oof, I don't know. I mean, on minus 1250, or even one moment I saw minus 1400. Like
Holy
it's
shit!
crazy. Like I don't know. Like we can talk about only about the fight, not about the betting. If you want to put your money, like just play around. Like it's plus 800 on Diaz. And
Yeah.
like I said, if somebody can bring the banana peels in the octagon and throw them and guide you to that banana peel and then punch you directly in the face in KO or wrap up some submission, that's Nate Diaz. You know, like especially like what's going on with all drama about this matchup. Like Dana White saying he wanted this matchup, he's saying he didn't want, and even now they mentioned some story about altercation in the bar from before. Like they're just trying to hype up the match. I think on so many crazy ways, you know, and it's already hyped pretty much. Like you saw also comes up with who it was, our friend Paulo Costa. Like what happened
Oh yeah.
there, like a lot of craziness is going with this matchup, you know, and I don't even know what to say, you know, like from the betting aspect, I don't know, like it's just like makes sense to play on Nate
Yeah.
and like expect that he gonna repeat the Connor moment, you know. uh Especially I think like maybe like in those how to say wrestling exchanges, maybe he can wrap up some submission or like even like from some ground and pound or scramble, like how he rolls, he can maybe roll in something. There is a chance, like I'm saying,
Yeah.
like for me it makes more sense like to test your chance on Nate than on Tony, like to be honest, because I think also like the Diaz brothers, when they go in that crazy mode, when they feel that everybody's against them, like uh, whole world hates them, like UFC, then like they can surprise. Like I mean, like you saw what happened in the last fight. Ian Edwards was beating him for how long, and then he managed to almost finish him in the fifth round. You know, so maybe that's gonna happen now. I mean, I highly doubt it, and we're gonna talk about like the inside information that we got about our friend Boyan was there, and he trained with the Kamsa. They actually brought him. Uh, they brought him as um, to emulate Nate Diaz, and I was like, I didn't see any resemblance. Only that they're like southpaws both, and then they're like a similar maybe build, like height wise. But like when I talked with Boyan, he told me like, and I forgot that he actually beat two guys from the All Star.
Mm.
He beat like Nike Musoku, where he had like I think performance of the night or KO of the night, and he got the his only bonus in UFC, and he went against the guy like even when I was I think I was in Sweden in 2011 in All Stars train, like that was the guy that everybody was talking about, you know, like Jonathan Westin, like and Boyan also fought him in PFL and managed to finish him in the second round. And even nowadays I heard from Boyan like everybody's like talking like even now the I think he's the guy who is giving the most trouble to Kamzat at the gym, you know.
Fuck
So
yeah.
they're really highly how to say have a high opinion about Jonathan, and I think that's why they brought Boyan, because he beat like basically two guys for their gym, and plus like he's a little bit like uh, like at least like a southpaw and similar height, so they brought him in for that. And he said like he's really impressed with Khamzat, like especially his work ethic, and the pressure that he puts in. Like he said, like I never saw something like that. You
Mm.
know, he's just like he can outwork anyone. You know, and that's talking about that's one of the most um, the best weapon on Nate Diaz. You know, like when he starts bringing the guys in the deep waters and try to make them to be out of the gas. That's not gonna happen against Khamzat. Power is on his side, wrestling is on his side. So I don't see, like I said, I don't see that Nate Diaz have a lot of things to work except maybe like pulling out some crazy submission. What's what's possible from some wrestling or scrambling exchanges.
Yeah, I would have to agree. And the thing is, like, if it's a 3 round fight, then in my mind, there's no doubt Kamzat is gonna dominate for the majority of the fight, as much as he wants. But the fact that it's 5 rounds makes me think maybe, like, in those later rounds, maybe Nate can pull something off if he can manage to get Kamzat tired, which, like, we've seen in the Gilbert Burns fight, like, even if he did start to slow down, like, he's still bringing the pressure anyway. One thing that we saw is, like, this is the first time, like, Kamzat, when he fought Burns, this is the first time he actually had a fight, like in the UFC. Because every other fight, like, I don't even know if you can call that a fight. He didn't even get punched. He was just dominating, finishing guys however he wanted. Um, but even though, like, Burns showed everyone that Chimaev is human, like, he can actually get rocked, get dropped. Burns has a different level of power than Nate Diaz does. What I will say is that when Burns is beating him, it's with the boxing. So Nate Diaz, he doesn't have the power Burns does, but I think he's got pretty solid boxing. So if he could survive 3 rounds, like, that's why I would agree. If you're gonna put money, like, put it on Nate Diaz, not because you think he's gonna win. Like, I think he might get ragdolled for most of it, but he has a chance in the later rounds, and he does have good boxing. The thing is, like, we've seen this before. We've seen Nate Diaz fight someone who can wrestle. We've seen him against, like, RDA, Rafael dos Anjos. We've seen him against Rory McDonald, and he didn't do too well against those guys. They were taking him down at will. And Kamzat is just a different animal. Like, he's kind of new to the UFC. Like, he's got some fights because he fought, like, on short notice so many times. But, like, I think even for the hardcore fans that see this new up and comer, like, they're saying, like, he belongs here at the top of the division, especially after what he was doing with Gilbert Burns. Like, so I think he's just kind of a better version of maybe Rory McDonald and RDA. And for those reasons, I don't think Nate has a good chance. But 5 rounds, who knows?
No, I agree with you, but like if you go back to also like I think he produced even more power than Masvidal. If uh, Nate Diaz like with his scar tissues on his face, also that's the big factor. You know,
Yeah.
like let's say Masvidal didn't finish him, but the fight was done. You know, like he couldn't finish it because it was a doctor stoppage. Am I right? Yeah, TKO
Yep.
doctor stoppage. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the big factor too. You know, like it's a question again, like how much Nate Diaz really want to fight. Like even like really we were expecting talking about Nick Diaz, like how he showed up against Robbie Lawler. I don't know also like where is Nate with his head, you know, with the situation with UFC. Does he want to fight? He want to do some super fights, you know, like there is so many factors in this match, you know, and I mean, when you don't have too much option, like you said, like only rational option is like here to play, to not play it at all, or to play on Nate Diaz, you know.
Yeah.
So talking about that, like it's interesting, like the statistic that I pulled, like believe it or not, Nate Diaz is 15-11 in UFC.
Shit.
Yeah.
You
So
you wouldn't expect that record to be in the main event against someone like Chimaev. But that
yeah,
actually reminds me, you know what? I heard someone say it earlier this week. Nate Diaz is a kingmaker. If
yeah,
you if
that's
you
the
beat
interesting
Nate
fact.
Diaz, you're gonna fight for a title, and you might even become champion. Like, look at his record, right? Leon Edwards, he beat Nate Diaz. He fought for the title. He actually won. Same with Masvidal. Like, he fought Nate Diaz, beat him, and then he fought Usman twice. Even Conor McGregor, he lost to Nate Diaz. They ran it back, immediate rematch. He beats Nate Diaz. All right, go fight Eddie Alvarez for a title. Same with RDA. Like, as bad or whatever you want to say about his record, 15-11, whatever you think about that, the people in the UFC think pretty highly of Nate Diaz because if you beat Nate Diaz, they're gonna give you a title shot. He's the kingmaker.
Yeah, and when you go back, he had like 8 fight of the night. He had 5 submission of the night when submission of the night existed. So
Yeah,
he comes long time before the modern era, like one KO of the night, believe it or not, and one performance of the night. So if you go like, he's really attractive. He's bringing the fight, especially against the guys who are willing to fight and trade. Like only like you mentioned, like Dos Anjos, I think like smother him with the wrestling. Rory McDonald also, like he doesn't like that type of people who gonna wrestle and try to shut him up. He likes that crazy exchanges like he had with Leon Edwards, and like he managed to make the fight like almost his in the fifth round. Yeah, like
yeah,
there is always chance that he will do something and that he can get like fight to go in his direction.
yeah.
But
And like I'm a fan of both of these guys, right? Probably, well, definitely a fan of Nate Diaz for longer because he's been in the UFC for a long time now. But if you ask the hardcore Nate Diaz fans, he's only lost one fight against Josh Thompson. Every other fight, he just ran out of time. Like, so that shows like how he fights. Like, he always has that chance at the end. And if it goes to the decision, well, he just ran out of time. He was probably going to submit him if there was another round or 2 rounds. So, I mean, he's in the main event for a reason. He always puts exciting fights, and he talks a good game too. Like, I don't know if you listened to this last interview that he did with like Brett Okamoto. If not, you should take a listen. It is pretty cool just to see how he thinks of like the history of like his career and the lightweight division and just like the championships of the UFC. I thought it was pretty interesting.
yeah, I didn't listen. I'm gonna listen for sure. But talking about that, I think this is the first guy who would beat even that there is no limit, because like what I heard
Yeah.
from Boyan, and when I was there, like let's go back to the story that I want to tell, like
Share it, share it.
how they train an all star, like that's crazy, like the work ethic, how they push, is just like another level. When they finish the training or the sparrings, like they have certain days when they go and when they run the intervals, like so they are doing like a sprints on the time limit. They're doing like 800 meters, I think under 2 minutes run. It's just like crazy how good prepared these guys are. Also, I have like a pretty interesting story, like, and let's say Boyan, like what he told me, how they like basically they brought him in, they pay everything for him, and he had an accident, and he got injured after first sparring,
Hmm.
um, and he couldn't train anymore, and they were like super nice towards him. They were like, especially the head coach. And I had a different experience, my friend had a different experience. We have like an opinion about him that he's like a, I don't know, like a butcher, like
Hmm.
just like the top guys prosper, everyone else, like, you're gonna be the meat to feed to the top of the dog, and especially if you come from the side, they just look like additional meat, but
Yeah.
like Warren had really good experience, and he had really good words about how they treated him over there. compare like I mean like what I had like when I was there. Even though I was like more at that point like on jiu-jitsu side, I did only one sparring in the cage, what they do twice a week, and that's why I say like it's really like how they train. It's like really hard, and I'm like wondering like how those guys, because they at that time at least, that was like 10 years ago, they had like a two hard sparring in the week, like plus additional sparrings where you do like a kickboxing, but like twice a week you go to the cage, and in the cage you more or less you have a full equipment, but you're having the match, you know,
Mhm.
and uh, what was the point? Like when I was there, I went against two brothers. They were like Muay Thai champions, and I think both of them end up in UFC. I think one is still in UFC. Temurian, I don't know what's Daniel, and I don't know. They were fighting 155, 145, something like that.
I think I know who you're talking about. One of them was in the Ultimate Fighter too, right?
Yeah, could be, could be. I
Yeah,
didn't check out. Okay, I wasn't prepared. Like I was thinking to
yeah.
skip maybe this story, but like when we were already there. And honestly, like I had nine matches. I spar like in Serbia. We spar pretty crazy, you know. Even though I didn't train that much, I try to avoid training whenever possible, considering it's MMA. Uh, but like that sparring was the worst experience for me ever in my life,
Damn.
because like they were really trying to take my head off. Like
Uh,
I even in one moment, like one of the brothers knock out my headgear off my head.
shit.
Yeah, it was that bad. Like, and the worst thing is like I take them down, I manage to submit them, but then get up, more beating. Like
Right.
I know it was like so bad. I was so pissed, and I pick up one so high. I think it was end of the round, and I was ready to go and to throw him and to sink him with my shoulder, like to spear him. And he
Yeah.
started like I was like I just let him to go down nice, but I was like that pissed after that, like, and especially like the cage is there, the coaches are on the side, and they're just saying to them what to do, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was really feeling like, you know, like worse than every match, like I said, because like everything is so intimate and everybody is like against you, you
Right,
know.
right.
After that, I went for jujitsu training, and I was sitting in the corner, and I was like start crying like a girl, you know. I was like, this wasn't nice. I didn't feel good, you know. I was like, fuck this shit, you know, like.
Did you just go to there to train? Were you in a training camp for one of your fights, or what was
No,
what brought you there?
I just went to train. Like my friend, actually, my best friend from MMA world, like from there from Serbia. He had a booked fight in Poland, and
Mm.
so we went into Sweden. I think it was like last 2 weeks of his preparation, but I went even like 2 weeks before him. His father got us very nice apartment, so I was there almost for a whole month. He was like a little bit less over there. So we went from the Sweden for his fight in Poland. We came back to Sweden, stay a little bit more, and then we went back to Serbia. But like I trained more. Mostly before he came, I just trained jujitsu, and then when he came there, I did a little bit more MMA. You know, help him to prepare, and also like just to experience. Like at that period, I really had like a, how to say, I just trained MMA before my fights. I really
Yeah.
didn't like to train, and like I got a fight, then I go like 2 months, even sometimes less than months preparing for the fight. Everything else, I was staying away. You know, like this pretty face, I don't like to get punched.
Yeah,
I'm
you
too
gotta you
sensitive.
gotta keep that intact. Was All Star Gym, was that the hardest training that you've had? Like hardest sparring that you've had?
Not really hardest training, because I didn't train too much with them, to be honest. Like, you know, like I
Uh,
said, only when my friend was there, and I did couple with those group of people. Mostly like I did with jiu-jitsu crew, you know, like, and I have like some friends, like even nowadays I'm still like time to time I exchange the messages, you
yeah.
know. So I more stay on jiu-jitsu side, even though like I think I had a fight a little bit after that, maybe 5 or 6 months after that. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like only when my friend came, then I started going to. And actually, funny story, like how even they got me to go. I really didn't want to go to that sparring. because I knew what's going on, and I was like, "Fuck no!" I just came to like relax, to train jiu-jitsu, like pick up some new knowledge, like little bit, like pick up also MMA knowledge through him, and like how they got me. I was supposed to go even with a smaller guy than I mean. I was then fighting in 145. The brothers were like 145, 155,
Yeah.
and the other guy was like I think even like 135, 125, and like to help to prepare him. I don't remember his name, but he was one of the smallest guys in the gym. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna take him down. I was like really not in the mood to go. I was like, I'm just gonna take him down. I'm not gonna go even for the finish. I'm just gonna go let the time go, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then I came there and I got surprised, like two world class Muay Thai guys. Hello, Alex. Welcome to Sweden. So talking about that, like I never had like a good opinion because I think only top dogs like a Gustafsson, like now Khamzat did, like
Mhm.
they're prosper. Everybody else, like I think they're not managing to get the full potential. I think because of the hard training that they have, but also like the hard training that they do gives them opportunity to be where they are. So like, who am I to talk and to criticize his way
Right.
of work? I'm just saying like what I saw, and it didn't suit me. Let's say like that. You
Yeah.
know, and talking about like that, like how nicely they were to Boyan. Like I need to go back to the story of one guy. He was from Canada. He came to train with us in Serbia. Like even I think he came also the similar time when I was in Sweden. He came to Sweden from Belgrade, and he even got a room like in All Star. Like he came over there to train, and so basically they really use him as a meat. And I think he
Oh,
even have a concussion after first day, and they still force him to go every day to spar.
fuck.
Because like he had to, I think if he's lying, I'm lying. Like he had to go. Like usually the guys who train over there, they had like 2 times or 1 time a week those kind of sparrings. But they use him more or less every day for sparrings like that. Yeah, and I think he said first or second day he got like a concussion. And they were like,
Jesus.
still, no, you're getting a room. You have to go. Like you have to go. You have to go. And at the end, that guy picked up his and he just ran away. He said, "I escaped. Like I didn't say bye to anyone. I just pick up my stuff and I left the gym." I was laughing like when I heard that. Like
Oh
that guy is
god.
really really something. Like he's Canadian. He came to Serbia. Like even like I think he convert to Orthodox religion. Really interesting guy. Like and that was his experience with All Star. Not so great.
Yeah. Probably the last time that he's been to Stockholm. Never
I
again.
believe so. I didn't talk with him for years. Like even when I moved here, actually I talked with him once or twice, and I lost the contact. So I don't know where's that crazy guy. Maybe after this I'm gonna shoot him message to see what's up.
Well, it sounds like they're doing something right for some of those guys.
No, for sure. Like I say, that's my opinion. Like for that guys who didn't break through, I think they're taking a lot of damage. Like for the
Yeah.
guys who are top dogs, like Gustafsson was. Like, I mean, some guys really love it. Like, actually, the All Star is the gym that most Serbians went. Like even before, that's
Mm.
how me and my friend end up in All Star because like I think 2 times. Different guys from the gym where we train MMA, where I train with them MMA, they were already in Sweden, and they spar with Gustafsson and everything, and they say like he spar with us like here that, and they're all smaller guys. They were
Yeah.
170, 155. Doesn't matter. Like I mean, probably he didn't go to KO them, but he didn't spare them. He
Yeah.
was going because he didn't have like a guys his size. So it was just going around. But they love it. I honestly, if I would get beat up one time by Gustafsson, I would leave, even
Yeah.
maybe during the round.
Maybe they've eased up a little bit nowadays on the sparring, but I mean, I'm interested to see how it takes a toll on Khamzat. I think we might have talked about it a little bit, but not as much as in detail last time Gustafsson fought, right? Because like maybe now he can't take the same damage that he could before. but hopefully that's different for Khamzat.
I mean, like what I heard, he is now top dog at the gym. Like so, and he is like young, and he didn't have like a wars. If you look, only the last fight,
Yeah.
and actually, so I don't forget that another thing that I wanted to say, I would give much more chance to Nate Diaz that Kamza didn't have the last fight with Gilbert Burns, because that what happened to him and was like I think a lesson for him.
Yeah.
Like the how he get in the brawl. I mean, if you see even like his coach between the round, I think second and third, like how he was screaming on him, how he was pissed. Like don't go technical, go technical. I think that was a big lesson, and I think that's why like I give him a last chance to Nate Diaz in
Mhm.
this fight, because like I think Kamzat learned his lesson, and it's not gonna happen. Like, and he was close to guess out, but like what we said and what we learned about him, that he have like a unlimited tank, like maybe like even more than Nate Diaz. So I don't think it's gonna happen again to him.
Yeah. And that's one thing that like I do agree with, like not all fighters learn that lesson, but right after the fight when he was talking with like Megan O'Leary, he said that like he went into the fight kind of not respecting like Gilbert Burns in the sense that he thought he was just gonna finish him right away. He didn't expect him to be tough. So he said like himself, that's something moving forward he's got to be ready for. Like for these tough guys, he can't expect to finish it right away all the time. But like, who can blame him? I think in the first like four fights in the UFC, he didn't even get punched and he was just finishing everybody. So to be honest, I kind of thought he was gonna beat Gilbert pretty fast. Like I want to say, yeah, he landed a jab and that dropped Gilbert. I was like, all right, here we go again. And then Gilbert survives for two more rounds and takes it to him. So I do think like with some guys, it's not always the case that they learn that lesson. But with Kamzat, I think like he said it right away. He was pretty aware of that.
Yeah, and I think that's the big factor. Like that wasn't there. I would like really maybe like be intrigued even to put some like little bit bigger money like on the Nate Diaz. That like I said, that's one of the factors that I think. Yeah, like it's just like a maybe like a not even puncher's chance, because like let's be honest, like Nate Diaz, but like if some crazy like exchange, like I said, like if Conor McGregor scenario repeats
Yeah.
again, that's the only way how I see that he can win this fight, like to have the perfect night, and to finish it like that way, like from some exchanges like to submission.
Yeah, and like one thing you mentioned about Nate Diaz is like it depends on his mentality if he even wants to be there, if he wants to fight. One kind of like concerning thing that he said in the Brett Akamoto interview I was talking about is he didn't want that fight. Like Dana White was saying that Nate Diaz asked for the fight, and he's like, no, he didn't want the fight. He didn't want to fight Khamzat, and now he's gonna fight Khamzat. So it's like shit, man. Like doesn't look too good. If you're a fan of Nate Diaz, that's not exactly what you want to hear. But who knows? Like, I mean, I think once he gets in there, and he has to fight, he's gonna give everything that he can. But it's also not exactly like the best place to be if you don't want to fight this guy.
No, I agree. I agree, 100%. Like but we're gonna see. Like you said, that's the Diaz brothers. You never know with them. Will they show up? How they gonna show up?
Yeah,
Or are they gonna sleep half match and then wake up and finish? But again, like what we are forgetting, like as a fans and as a human beings, like what's happening. Like we forget about the father of time or mother of time, however it's proper
yeah,
to
yeah,
see. You know, he's 37. You know,
yeah,
he's not what he was. So that's that's the big factor. So
yeah. And against a guy that knocks out middleweights, it's not the best scenario for Nate Diaz. I think this is a classic scenario of the UFC wants to kill this guy on the way out, and I think a lot of people are viewing it that way. Like um, that picture you sent me by Dosbrock was fucking awesome. That's perfect. Like that's exactly what everyone is looking at the fight as. Like Nate Diaz is on his way out, and the last fight on his way out, the UFC is giving him probably the biggest killer in the division. You know, he's not a champion yet, but I think, like we said before, like if he beats Nate Diaz, he's gonna fight for the belt.
Yeah, and okay, we start talking to. I guess this fight we got into the hype also. Like I was like, are we? And we are still talking about this fight, and we can talk, I think, still for 30 minutes. But let's cut it
Yeah, I mean
short.
it's
Just
a very intriguing fight. You got one guy who's been in the UFC for so long, like whether you love him or hate him, like you kind of want to see him win, especially on his way out. And then I think like Khamzat, he's the new up and comer who's just dominating everybody. It makes for an interesting fight.
no, it is, and it's narrative of the fight, especially now. Like I said, how they hyping even now, like Kamzat getting a problem with our favorite guy Paulo Costa. Uh, Things happening on the side now between Dana White and Nate Diaz. They're now mentioning like so many things that actually like what's selling the fight story. And I
Hmm.
guess Dana White is really good at that. Uh, like forcing some narrative, changing, like and that's for me. Like I really would like to pick a brain on that guy because like some people say one story, some like in him saying like I like Nick and Nate, and then
Yeah,
like they're terrible to work with. Yeah, there were sometimes like I'm like, are you bipolar? Like how it changed so much, like and I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's happening with the guys like who have absolute power. Like he's treating people however he wants. You know,
We're both going Diaz.
yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Let's go for the underdog.
That's right.